Em Rusciano and Michael Lucas.
Oh my God, I can't wait. It's happening. It's happening.
This is Emsolation.
The internet lost its collective mind.
She is choosing to focus on the one time in history where one of her conspiracy theories actually was correct, except for Trump being elected.
What are you saying as erectile dysfunction?
Don't know.
I'd get on board with that theory.
You're in Emsolation.
Welcome to episode 9 of Emsolation, darlings. This is the second time I'm recording this intro because I was a little bit jittery. I don't know. I've done interviews this morning and being back around breakfast radio. I was promoting the podcast, which is so fantastic, but it just set something off in me. And I get nervous and I was talking way too fast. So I'm doing this again and I'm just going to exhale and remember that I'm with you guys. I'm amongst friends. You've chosen to be here. You've chosen to put me in your ear holes. I'm sitting at my kitchen table. The fire's going. I think we need some fire sound. I'm just going to get Matt, my editor, to just, thanks, darling. Just pop in some crackling, some popping. Oh, that's nice. Although, I'm sorry to my far north Queensland listeners. I know it's probably 1,000 degrees there. Look, as I said, I did do some radio this morning and I was on my friend Fifi Box's show, Fox FM. She is a gem of a human, I have to say. But like I said, being back around radio made me a bit jittery. But Emsolation has made me love broadcasting again. And I think after 15 years, I'm finally allowed to say I'm good at it. Ugh, that feels dirty. Why does it feel dirty? I love talking into a stick. And I don't know why I avoided doing a podcast for so long. I mean, I did one years ago, but now I'm here. I just love doing it so much and I hope that I can keep going forever. I'll bring one to you from beyond the grave. You know, if anyone can, it'll be me. On Tuesday, though, it was Andrew Denton's 60th birthday. Hey, that was a right-hand turn you weren't expecting. And Andrew Denton, obviously, he is a TV personality, writer, amazing podcaster also. He's a right to die advocate. He's an amazing human, probably the smartest person I know. And I love him because he reached out to me after I lost my baby in 2017 and I just announced what had happened publicly and was taking some time off of my breakfast radio show. And I received an email from Andrew. This is what he said. Em, we met once briefly a few years back. I was going to write to you before this weekend's sad news, but I've been off the grid for the last month, so this has been my first opportunity. What I was going to say was, I really like what you're bringing to the airwaves. It's fresh, it's genuine, it's sassy. Above all, it's human, and good human at that. I was going to say, all strength to your arm and keep going. None of that has changed after the news about your baby. Other than to say, I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. And don't worry about what taking time away may mean professionally. Your audience will get it and get you in a way $1 million worth of cash giveaways and advertising will never buy. As I said, good human, real human. Go well, be kind, Andrew. No need to reply. Your inbox must be bursting. I mean, can you imagine? We'd never met. And I was, sitting in my bed and I was just so sad and I never kind of thought I'd not be sad. And to receive that from someone I admire so much and I felt really seen and he made me feel okay about taking time off of the radio show because you need to know it's cutthroat in breakfast radio. If you take time away and your replacement is better than you, there's a good chance you're going to lose your job. So I was worried about that. And I wrote him back and I thanked him and he just responded, I explained that I never imagined being funny again and I couldn't imagine going back to being a comedian and talking about things like Britney Spears. Here we are. And he just sent back this one little kind of sentence and just said, Em, let us be grateful to people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. I mean, come on, guys. Andrew Denton, give it up. He's not on social media, nowhere that you can find, but he does lurk on my accounts. When I wished him a happy 60th, he said he enjoyed seeing me dressed up as Scotty. And I'm like, oh, come on, Andrew, what's your Instagram? He won't tell me. Strangely, though, I was also sent Tina Arena about a week later. It was the universe when I was at my most vulnerable and desperate sent me Andrew Denton and Tina Arena, two tiny geniuses, two tiny strange geniuses. I need to tell you guys a story of how Tina and I met, not now. I'll save it for another time. And I think I'm going to get Tina to record it and we'll pop it into the podcast because her retelling of it is just worth it. She'll probably break out into song, which is glorious. We have a huge edition of Emsolation today. I know I say this every time, but it's what I have to do. It's the radio in me, guys. As you may or may not know, each Thursday, a funny mate of mine joins us to talk about what they've been up to in Orso. And this week, guys, you're in for a treat. It's the lovely Pete Helliar. How good's that? Michael Lucas, oh my God, are you ready for this? Has had a meltdown, which is the first in 30 years of friendship. Yes, he's finally cracked. And Scott will chat about helping men deal with being in isolation. Before I do go, though, I wanted to let you know I've started a Patreon for Emsolation. What's Patreon? Yeah, well, I didn't know about it till my friend Will Anderson told me. All right, Em, pick that name up you just dropped. Patreon is a platform that allows artists and their community to collaborate together on projects. That's right. You and I are going to do a collab. I'm very excited. You guys can become a member of Emsolation. It's $10 US a month. And that basically allows us to have a budget. And it means I can pay comedians and singers and artists to be a part of the show, which is very important to me to give back to the arts community. You'll also get first access to the Emsolation merchandise that's coming, behind the scenes videos and photos, and my eternal love and gratitude. The pod will always be free. This is just another level of support you can give to Emsolation if you're loving it and getting something out of it. You don't have to, but we'd love you to be on board as a member. Go to Patreon, patreon.com/Emsolation for more info. All right, enough of that. We best get to Michael Lucas before he has another tantrum.
Em Rusciano and Michael Lucas. This is Emsolation.
Oh, well, here she is, diva of the day, having tantrums in isolation. Oh, are you okay, Michael? Are you okay?
Oh, look. I just want to say, before coming here, because I've had some weird testy times with my husband of misreading each other, I tried to be positive and I walked upstairs and went, "Oh, you look happy this morning." And he just went, "I'm not." And so that's how we've kicked off the day.
I've had a fight with Scott about how long his shower was, so it's fine. I'm like, it's not hydrotherapy, Scott. Oh, God. When we started this podcast, we're at episode 9, so 8 episodes ago. I just want people to recall what you were saying about how you were finding isolation.
We're talking 9-hour sleeps. We're talking reading weekend supplements, deciding which recipe you want to make. I mean, the house is very clean. We just sit there. We have long conversations about which show we want to binge watch. It basically is like our life has become the good weekend supplement, and there's nothing else. I mean, it's pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie.
Oh God, how's it all going now? What's happened?
I talked a big game. It's true. And that was so sincere. At the start, it really was pretty lovely for me. And I do have to acknowledge, I know that I've got everything in my favour coming into this. No kids. I still have my income. But, it's finally, it's broken me. It's broken me. Not completely, but, I mean, just visually, you can tell when you see me because at the moment I can no longer fit into most pants, so I've taken to wearing drawstring board shorts, even though it's freezing.
You will have your gay card removed if anyone sees you in drawstring board shorts. What the hell?
Well, they do see me because I can't stop walking. That's the other thing.
But isn't all the walking you're doing like counterbalancing the food you're eating?
Well, I think that's just a testament to how much food I'm eating. I truly have become Forrest Gump. Come rain, hail or shine, and there's been a lot of rain in Melbourne weekly this week. I leave the house and I just power the pavement. I'm getting like over 16,000 steps every single day. I just walk and walk and walk. I mean, I looked up the symptoms for cabin fever, which I always thought was just a phrase, but it actually is a thing. The symptoms are: person may experience sleepiness or sleeplessness. Both. I've had both. Some nights I'm out for 10 hours and other nights I fall asleep for 2 hours, wake up and then just freak out about the world for, until 3 o'clock in the morning or more.
That's me every night, FYI.
Your day-to-day life. But this is the weird one. Have a distrust of anyone they were with. I don't know whether it's that we've had to stare at each other's faces too long, but it's like I can no longer read Adrian's face. And sometimes I'm looking at him and I keep on saying, is everything all right? Are you okay? And he's like, yes, this is just my face now. That's what And then finally, an extreme urge to go outside, even in adverse conditions, such as poor weather or limited visibility. And I've got a problem at the moment that I'm walking in the rain so much, my shoes are all getting wet. So I have to line them up by the window so they can dry. I'm just falling apart. And the biggest one, the most professionally costly one, is I can't concentrate anymore. And I can't explain why that's happened, because if ever there was a time where you had the space and the stillness to concentrate, it's right now. But I can't stare at my computer screen for more than 25 seconds without Googling generally Britney's Instagram, but just anything. Why? Do you have that?
Yeah, but you just described my everything pre-international pandemic, so I don't really have any sympathy for you at all. And I know that you'll return straight back. You guys will snap back unlike your waistline. The moment this is over, I have to ask the question, are you going to buy bigger size pants? Are you going to buy ISO pants? But I said it.
I'm not. That's crossing the line. I'll squeeze. I'll just feel the pain.
This is what you've done. Now go put your tight jeans on and think about it.
No, that's defeat. That's defeat. I'm holding out. Plus, I do still have a lot of elasticized and drawstring pants. So I'm right for a little while.
But the beauty of my wardrobe is there's so much Lycra content. It doesn't matter what size I am. I'm always the same size according to my pants. It's perfect.
Also, your wardrobe is just seemingly endless. I mean, you did factor in wardrobe space into your complete house extension. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Of course I did. I love it. Now, there's something that you and I need to discuss publicly, and I have to say it is the number one thing I get asked when people find out that you were involved in writing the first 5 seasons of the beloved hit TV show Offspring. It is just the first thing. Like, oh, he wrote Offspring. Why did he kill Patrick? So I think it's important that we discuss you deciding to kill one of the most beloved.
Not just me.
It was you. I was there when you made the decision. I was sitting in your lounge room on the floor. And when you said to me, I think we're going to kill Patrick. No, we definitely need to
but with the Deborah Oswald, the creator of the show, and the producers and other writers as well.
Don't bring them into the hellfire. Do you not? You wrote
we were all there together. I didn't write the episode. Jonathan Gavin did. We were a team. But all of us go down as one, or is it, depending on how you look at it. Or felt the glory or the shame or whatever. I will say that I was the only one on Twitter at the time, and that was a really interesting place to be.
Now, obviously, we'll say hello to Kat Stewart because she's a big fan of Emsolation, guys, whatever. And she played Billy, the character that obviously Deb Oswald came up with all the characters, but Michael was one of the head writers and was in charge of giving those characters dialogue. And I want you all to know that oftentimes I'd be sitting watching Offspring and I would witness an entire conversation that I'd had with Michael in private come out of that character's mouth.
Sometimes incredibly intimate stuff. The best one ever was once I wanted to communicate that Kat Stewart's character was having marriage issues with Eddie Perfect, and Emma just said something like, you'd been watching Scott and you said his nipples jiggle when he brushes his teeth, and it was like, oh man, that's the sign of just an absolute dead relationship. And so I put it in the show, and then Emma saw it on television.
I was so mad at you, but there's so many things, and then all of a sudden Billy just morphed into me. Well, I don't even think Deb Oswald intended that, but because Michael was in charge of writing the character, I would just see things and be like, oh my God. And then poor Kat was made aware of it, so she was forced to kind of start watching the things that I did, and I was very self-conscious. But then the episode came finally, you guys, Michael said, do you want a little, because I have a cameo in most of Michael's shows. Interesting fact, I actually auditioned to play basically myself, the role that Claire Bowditch ended up getting, and couldn't even land the role of myself. It was like a mother who'd been in a reality TV show singing competition. Couldn't even get that. So I played Em Rossiano, radio interviewer, and I think I nailed it. But that was the episode that I was in. And she killed Patrick.
Yeah, correct.
So, finally, I will ask on behalf of all the distressed women and gay men of Australia, why? Why did that character need to die?
Why? Well, the answer is both there's practical reasons and artistic reasons. And look at me, it's like I'm a politician about to make a speech. I'll tell you how the conversation came up. It's because after 3 seasons of Offsprings, we were suddenly commissioned for not 1 but 2 more seasons. We got season 4 and 5 to be shot back to back. And there's a thing you have to deal with when you're working in drama, and that's options on actors. And that's basically how many seasons you've contracted actors for. And so we had to go around to all the cast and say, will you be contracted for season 4 and 5? And Matt, who was very dedicated to the show and, dead keen on it and everything, but he lives in America. He still lives in America and has a big career, and his agents never allowed him to sign for multiple seasons. It was always a 1 season at a time situation. And we were in a dilemma because Nina was pregnant to him. And because the series were pretty much back to back, it was kind of like, we need assurance, because if she has the baby at the end of episode 4, we can't just come into season 5 and the dad's like gone missing, or
Why?
what are we like? What?
Yes, because my point is, I don't care about all your technical jargon. You didn't have to end his life. You could have sent him off to Doctors with Borders. He could have had to have been, gone overseas to a sick relative. I don't know. Why did
I felt that would have been too unsafe. But also, in addition to that, genuinely, I mean, as you know, it was we were writing all this not long after my father had died, and death was something that was very sort of present in my mind. And
this is a very low blow. Oh my God, you're bringing your father's death up.
No, but just in general,
I feel bad.
No, I genuinely feel, honestly, as a culture, we are weird about death. We don't talk about it that much, and I do think that there is a value in a kind of honest exploration of it. But the big reason, I still remember the moment when I knew it was what we had to tell, and that was, it came up as an idea, like, well, how are we going to deal with this? And all those things, like send them overseas or like all these sort of things we're discussing were all problematic in their own ways. And then, of course, like when you come up, what happens if he died? And I still remember we were thinking about what it would mean for the 2 sisters, and Deb Oswald was talking about how Billy, despite all her problems, would have to come in and be there for Nina. And she talked about a moment that might happen when Nina's so grief-stricken that she's thinking, if I have this baby, I don't know that I'm going to be able to care for it. And then Billy would respond, well, I will for you. If you're not ready to, I'll love the baby for you. And we all burst out crying in the room, and we thought it was such an incredible moment between sisters, and that ultimately, as much as it was a rom-com, the most important relationship was between the sisters, and that was a story that was the best story that we could tell, I felt. And so I defend it.
Fine.
And then the show ran for, 3 more seasons after that.
No, but I think you've just given everyone closure. Like, I feel like the fact that it did bring the sisters closer together, because sometimes, you're right, no one wants to talk about death. You and I talk about death a lot, which I just realised how much we do talk about death. But, I mean, off air, in our own conversations. Good. Okay, no, I feel better about it. I mean, we still have to address why you decided to put me in that same episode, so my amazing performance didn't get a Logie nomination for Best Newcomer, but whatever, fine. We were just talking about your father's death last night. I was away when your father died, and I'll never forgive myself for that. Like, it was, you needed me the most, and I was in Venice. God.
Yeah, and it was your first time in Italy.
It was my first time overseas, Michael. It was my first time I'd ever left the country, and I was in the middle of a complete personal breakdown, like one of the biggest of my life because of breakfast radio in Perth, and I was going through postnatal depression and all of that, and my mum took me away overseas to kind of escape, and then your father died. The conversations we were having then, and then we were talking about it again last night because we've both started watching a show called Never Have I Ever. So another TV recommendation, guys, but one you can watch with your teenagers, I think. My girls have watched it and loved it, and you're loving it.
I loved it as a teenage girl, yes, absolutely loved it. But I'm imagining how much I would have loved it in my teenage years.
Same, I know.
Especially because she's a nerd. Yeah. She's an outcast
love letter.
nerd.
It's a love letter to nerds everywhere. It's just a love letter to people who didn't quite fit in, and it's kind of the opposite of normal people in that her lusting after things gets acknowledged. And for all of us nerds and outcasts who were obsessive about things and then just got brushed aside, it's kind of a little bit of vindication. But there's also a lovely storyline with her father. Or her father, this isn't a spoiler, you've learned straight away, has passed away. And just the whole, it's really, and it's interesting to see into Indian culture and how similar it is to Italian culture as well, with the overbearing parents. It's my recommendation for you if you want to do some family viewing. It's called Never Have I Ever. And is it on? I always get the streaming service wrong.
No, it's Netflix. It's Netflix. It's Mindy Kaling from The Office and from the Mindy Project that's done it. And there's John McEnroe is the narrator, and that is this really weird but kind of wonderful touch. Yeah. And the girl that they've found to play the lead is, I mean, what a find. She's so engaging and funny, and she's perfect. She's perfect.
She is. She's perfect. I have questions about the love interest they've casted, but fine, it doesn't matter. You know, I'm very strict on casting. One of them is a 30-year-old playing a high school student, and they're both – okay, I can't say that on the podcast. I don't know that they've cast the love interest well, but everyone else I'm quite happy with, so that's good. And also there's some coming out stories that are gorgeous, but I'm not sure that's how it happens in real life. I don't think parents congratulate kids when they come out every time. I know I will if that happens here. God, imagine if Helliar comes out. There'll be a coming out party.
Oh, there'll be a fully staged musical, I would say.
Marcella joked. It's not a bar mitzvah. It's like a bar mitzvah, but for admitting you're a homosexual. He'll have to come out to be
you practically sell Patreon vouchers for Helliar's coming out. Get first preference.
God,
it's going to be an extravaganza.
What if I end up with a heterosexual son? What am I going to do with that? I have no idea.
You did catch him with a football.
Oh, how dare you tell everyone that? I'm so ashamed. I sent Michael a picture of my son holding a football, and I was like, oh, God. He's holding a football. How did he even get that in this house? That filth. Get it out of here.
There are still Scott's genes there. I mean, your genes are very strong. Very strong.
I can't believe my genes aren't in there going, Scott, get out. No, I mean, it's fine. I'll love him no matter what. He's going to be sporty because I was very, very sporty. His father is very, very sporty. Like, that's going to happen. He's just going to be a human, a resident of Earth, and love people for whom they are. I'm sure that's what's going to end up happening. You know, male or female, whatever. My son will just go where the wind takes him.
And maybe he'll be a heterosexual son that will still hop under a blankie and in later years drink some gin and watch Steel Magnolias with you. Don't rule it out.
I've already got that penciled in for his 16th birthday party. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for putting the hearts and minds of Australian women at rest now.
I don't think I did that. I'm preparing for another round of Twitter hate. I should also just say, legitimately, most days I still get messages online about it. And it happened in 2013. So we're real.
Are you joking? Has it been 7 years?
Yeah, because my last year on Offspring was 2014, season 5.
God.
So, 2013. Isn't that bizarre? And back in the era when dramas would rate like well over 1 million. Like it was
I know.
Very different time.
Oh, before you go, and because this is a podcast, I'm allowed to talk for longer. Did you see today that our favourite MasterChef judge has talked about her depression and how she has a safe word on set?
Oh.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's come out and said her whole life, we're talking about, I'm going to say Melissa.
Melissa
Leong.
I'm fully obsessed with her now. I mean, I know we've indicated that before, but it's a Stockholm Syndrome thing, I'm pretty sure. I cannot stop thinking about it.
Well, she's done a podcast with her friend and she's openly talked about the fact that she's suffered from clinical depression her whole life, and when she's on set, sometimes things get a bit much for her, and she's like, I understand it. She's obviously a very passionate, feelings on the outside of her skin. I see it. I see a kindred spirit. I understand. And she has a word. She didn't reveal what the safe word was, but she just says it, and the producers find her 10 minutes to be alone somewhere where she can just gather her thoughts and start again. And I love that. I want to implement a safe word for my family, and I'll just shout at them, banana, banana, banana. My safe word's banana. Pineapple. And then they just know, okay, mummy needs 10 minutes. I could just be screaming that all day long though, so I don't know if a safe word's effective for me.
I think I need it in my house at the moment. I think my safe word's Bette Midler, and I just call it out and then go for a 16K walk.
Michael's out walking again. But I love her even more now for talking about mental health, for saying that when she's on the job, she does need to take 5 or 10 minutes aside. Like, she just gets better and better for me.
Oh, no. And it's just more and more evidence that we're destined to be best friends with her. She doesn't know it yet. She might be a little bit disturbed.
No, she's
probably won't be happy when she figures out that supposedly I wrote erotic fiction.
You wrote erotic fan fiction about it. Oh, no, we're coming for you.
We'll get through that. It'll be bonding. We'll laugh about it with Melissa.
Yeah, we're coming for you, Melissa. We're coming. All right, off you go. Go and maybe go and make your husband a nice cup of tea and don't mention his face, okay? Don't open the day with a face.
I've learned the lesson there.
All right, chat soon.
Bye.
This is Emsolation.
Okay, we've come to it's the third last segment. Normally it's the last, but we have so much to get to in the show today. Scott Barrow joining us again. Scott, Brendan Favola of Fifi, Fev and Byron says to say hello.
G'day, Fev.
He's definitely listening. Fev's the number one fan of Emsolation. Today we're going to go a little different speed because we received a voice memo, which you guys can send in at hello@mrussiano.com from a lady, and it's the same theme of, I reckon I've got probably well over 100 from women expressing the same kind of concern for the man in their life. So have a listen.
Hey, Scotty and Em. My name's Claire and I'm 38 and I'm from Melbourne. I'm starting to really worry about my partner during ISO time. He's usually really bright and cheery. The lack of social interaction is really getting to him and he's become super flat. How can I help to lift him up? Thank you.
So, I mean, obviously, Scott, on Tuesday we talked about that, feeling responsible for your partner's moods and letting them have it. But I think this goes down a different path.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit more serious maybe. Not to trivialise the previous situation, but this one's almost like, this could be the start of something.
Yeah, and I think men's mental health in this country is a topic that needs to be discussed. I mean, mental health in this country in general needs to be discussed more freely and with less stigma attached to it. But I think at the moment, a lot of men are perhaps out of work, or they're not seeing their usual social circle, or they're not doing their sport, and I think perhaps aren't as good as voicing how they're feeling and perhaps are internalising things. And I think a lot of women or partners are concerned with their normal, as Claire said, bubbly, upbeat people in their life feeling the opposite. So we're going to take a softly approach in that it's not going to be textbooky Scott giving you answers or, what we normally do. It's more about Scott and I talking about helping men talk about mental health. Why do men – you're a man. Why do you find it hard? I mean, you don't talk about your mental health that much. Why don't you? I mean, on a personal level, why don't you talk about your mental health much?
In the times when I could, and maybe that could be an option in my mind, I think it's probably gets down to fear at that point in time. So if I say this, what does that mean for me in the future in relation to the people around me, how they're going to perceive me, and also what does that mean for myself? And because it's almost like new territory as well. So I think there's that social concern, and also, it's like it's so new and unfamiliar that it could be scary.
Can I throw something else into the mix? I also think I married you, and this, I don't know if this is in your relationship where your husband sees himself as the stoic, kind of sensible provider, that traditional stereotypical male role, if that is the case. For me, I was married to you and was attracted to you because you are so steady and stoic. And if I get a sense that you're feeling a bit wobbly, I get nervous and I don't necessarily want to hear it because for me, you're my stability. So when I sense that maybe Scott's a bit down or flat about something, that's when I go into kind of fix mode. So do you think some men sense that they don't want to tell their families that they're struggling because they want to still be that area of strength and they don't want to appear vulnerable and weak because they're afraid it'll make everyone else nervous?
I think that's one way, but there could be a whole lot of different considerations. Yeah, some people might be concerned about how it's going to play out with others, but that other people might just be sort of essentially not trapped, but lost in their own internal workings. So they can't even see those considerations.
So if it's just a temporary thing, let's assume it is, because it sounds like it is with this guy, it's a temporary state, what can she do rather than trying to solve it? Yeah. What can she help to motivate him again?
When I was listening to this one, I thought, okay, what could be some ways? And I think if you think it's more sort of like the situation's more in their head, thinking, it's like, well, then it's almost like a problem-solving thing, okay? What's the issue? How could it be better? What options do we have? Those sorts of things. That's almost like a coaching conversation. But if you think it's a bit more deeper than that, it's almost like a mood, which probably where these things tend to get to, then you got to be almost like move into a different mood. I'm not talking about people who are really, really suffering here, might need to go to a mental health expert, but moving into a different mood. So if I'm a bit flat and people make suggestions and they just don't land, then we've got to move into a different mood. So then the question is, how might you do that?
And
okay, so
how might you do that, Scotty?
Yeah. So when we are in certain moods, there's, we've got moods for all sorts of emotional experiences, and the mood here might be a mood of almost resignation, sort of hopelessness. But I think with what we're hearing from Claire, it's a mood of resignation. That's how it sounds to me. And a mood of resignation is when you're like, there are possibilities, but you're just like, yeah, but there's no point. It's not going to work anyway. So you're sort of rejecting the possibilities. So we want to move into a mood of possibility, and then the question is, how do you do that? And it's not really through thinking and talking, because you got this mood, you can't think straight anyway. So it's like, how do you shift that? So then the question, how would you shift your mood? Well, there's things you can do. There's things like music, spontaneous happenings. So someone knocks on the door. Oh, that's obviously not at the moment because we're not sort of connecting with people in a physical sense. But the one that jumps out of me is physical activity, movement. Not necessarily exercise, but just getting moving. So move the juices in your body, which helps you move the thoughts in your mind and frees things up. Now, you might say, might be Claire suggesting, oh, do you want to go and do this? Nah. You want to go do that? So it's almost like she's got to sort of skillfully ambush him where he doesn't have to think about it, doesn't have a decision. Oh, John called up and we're going to do this, or we're going to go down to Bunnings because we've got to do that, just springing it on him, I reckon. So there's, sort of avoiding conscious decision making.
I like that idea, and that's an approach I take when we're not in isolation. Often Scott gets into trouble with our daughters when he asks them to do things, and I say to you, nah, just tell them. And I think this is good, because don't give them the option to say no. Don't let him sit there. Just go, oh, babe, get up. We're just going to do this. And he'll more than likely be like, oh, okay, fine,
It's almost like, oh, this is happening, and it's like he recognises he hasn't got a choice. The other aspect of it is who might be that person to sort of mention that's going to happen. It might be a friend, or it might be it might be Claire, but it also might be Claire organising behind his back to get one of his mates to call him up and have a chat, and maybe just deliberately gets into a conversation when they can relive, previous glories or something like that. You're just trying to shift that mood with minimal thinking, if that makes sense.
So you've got written there, go from a mood of resignation to a mood of possibility.
And that can sound wanky, but that's what it is.
That does sound wanky.
Yeah. And things that can influence mood, you can eat certain foods, coffee influences mood, music influences mood, human movement, physical activity influences mood. But again, we're trying to get that to happen with a bit more spontaneity. So how it's offered up, how he hears it, who it comes from, these are all important factors. So there's things like, and there's also these biological elements behind all this too. So an acronym I love is SPACE HR. So it's S for sleep, optimize your sleep. P is for presence, getting activities where you're really lost in the moment. A is for activity. C is for creativity, anything where you can get some sort of creativity. And that doesn't mean artistic creativity, but any type of creativity, problem solving. E is for eating. And the HR is habits, trying to get that happening automatically. The R is a social thing, so you can't do your normal social patterns. But the key recognition is,
what does R stand for?
R is relationships.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, R is relationships. So you can't do your normal social thing So you have to set up other options. So, Zoom is, the shares in Zoom has gone through the roof through this period. People are using it because they go, well, it's not my preferred method, but shit, what else am I going to do?
Okay, good. That's good. That's helpful. I like it. Obviously, if you feel like, if you're listening to this and your partner's mood feels a little bit more than just, it's passing, make sure you get some help. Make sure you go to your GP, encourage him to go with him and just let them know, because it could be something deeper going on and he could need some professional help. So obviously we're just talking now in a sense of this guy's struggling with the current situation and normally he's in a good headspace. But again, just really go to your doctor. Don't be afraid to acknowledge your mental health. It is nothing to be ashamed of. It's taking control and it's the most powerful thing you can do for yourself. And trust me, this is coming from someone who has to take control of her mental health. Once every 3 months, I'll say to Scott, I'm not good. So I know I've got to go back and either talk to someone or I'm not exercising enough or, I've got to go to my doctor. So please remember to do that. Scotty Barry, thank you very much. It was a good one. And if you want the wisdom of my husband showered upon you in that husky, deep voice, please email hello@emrusiano.com. Little 30-second voice memo, and you could have the dulcet tones of my husband helping you fix the things that are ailing you. All right, well, now it's time to get to my mate, Pete Helliar. What a treat it is to have him on the show today, just letting you know what's been going on in his world.
Bonjour, Emsolation. Bonjour, Michael Lucas. Je suis Pierre. On très bien, something like that. I'm learning French in lockdown. I don't know why. I've always had the opinion that it's not worth learning languages unless you're going to learn the entire language, because what's the point? I'm going to go to Paris and I'm going to say to somebody in the street, "Oula gare, s'il vous plaît," which I think means where is the train station, or where is the train station? And they will look at me and, believing I am a fellow countryman, they will answer in French, waving their arms around, pointing in different directions. Oh, croissant, blah, 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 déjà vu, blah, 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 you play balloon. And they will be pointing around and I'll just be there. Eventually, I'll have to say to them in English, "I'm sorry, I only learnt the questions. I didn't learn the answers." And then this is going to be awkward. So unless you're going to learn the entire language, I don't know what I'm doing. But I guess I'll keep doing it. It's keeping me entertained. I'm trying to keep positive during lockdown. I'm looking forward, like everyone else, to not having to get into the brace position every time I sneeze. I'm trying to remind myself that it could be worse. I've got friends doing Ramadan at the moment, and they've been in like stage 4 lockdowns for like thousands of years. So it could be totally worse. I could be the old lady who lives in the shoe. I mean, she's dealing with isolation and tinea. So, it could be worse. I could be in America. We could be in America. We are in Australia. We're reasonably under control here. In America, they're protesting on the streets. I saw there was a survey recently where 38% of Americans that were surveyed said they will never drink Corona beer again because of the coronavirus. That makes no sense. That's like responding to a gun massacre by saying you'll never eat Magnum ice creams ever again. It's not going to make a difference. All right, Em, I'm loving the podcast. Keep up the great work. And as I say, au revoir, merci, bonne journée, which I think's got something to do with Bon Jovi. I'm not completely sure. But love yous. See you on the other side.
Well, because I haven't heard what Pete said and I'm pre-recording this because we still haven't got it from him, but we will. I'm sure it was amazing. Ha, 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 Pete. It would have been great. But I have no idea what he just said. He literally could have just said, "Em is an alien from another planet," and he'd be correct. But I'm very grateful to my friend Pete for doing whatever just happened then, and I'm going to be listening to it. I'm going to listen back to it.
This is Emsolation.
Well, I got to do something pretty exciting, I have to say. Kate Cebrano. And it's been a big week. I did Tina Arena's chat show last week, Quarantine Arena. What a name. And then Kate Cebrano emailed me and said, "Hey, would you like to sing one of my songs?" And it was kind of daunting So I said, of course. I said, yes, of course. And the song was Brave. And it's one that I loved as a kid. God, Kate Cebrano. I went and saw her in Jesus Christ Superstar, of course, with John Farnham. I mean, the only version you should ever see. John Farnham, John Stevens, and Kate Cebrano. It's Mary Magdalene. What a performance. I don't know. Oh, my God, I love her so much. And my dad had and still does to this day, such a massive crush on Kate Cebrano. So she said, I'm doing this thing on Friday nights. It's called Kate and Friends. We sing together and I'll be playing piano and we'll get some backing singers and blah, blah, blah. So I recorded a version of Brave and she's given me permission to play it for you now. So what you're about to hear is me singing, and I had to do it in one take. It's not perfect singing. You know, I get very nervous. It's me singing Brave. Feel free to skip through it. But yeah, here is my version of Kate Cebrano's song Brave, and you'll hear Kate Cebrano kind of being my hype man in the background. I hope you enjoy it. And then after the song, I've got a very important announcement. So make sure you come, you stay listening after the song. I know you're going to be overcome with emotion, remembering back to year 10, smelling Lynx Africa and Impulse Merrily Musk and using Body Shop lip gloss. This is where this song took me back to. Oh, maybe that's just me. All right, enjoy.
This particular artist is very unexpected on every level. She is a provocateur. She's a mother. She's a comedian, she's a singer, she's an actor, and she's an activist as well. And when I asked her if she'd do this song, I never expected to get back something that was so intimate. And her performance of this is gorgeous. I know you're going to love it too. And I love hearing other people sing this song. This is Brave, performed by Emsolation.
Hear the calling a million miles away.
Yeah.
As my heartbeat fills the silence.
Come on, girl.
With words that I can't say.
Wow.
My mother used to tell me, girl, the time for you will come. And so I sit back and I hold tight. Time has just begun, and I won't ever walk away. I'll just be brave and say,
yeah, girls,
hold me to the end.
Sounds cool.
And in your arms I'll rise up high. Ooh, I wait for tomorrow. Remember yesterday when I was scared of the darkness and saying the things I shouldn't say. But now my life has changed.
Yeah.
Just look what I've become. And so I sit back and I hold tight. Has just begun, and I won't ever walk away. I'll just be brave and say, hold me to the end, yeah. And in your arms I'll rise up high. Ooh, life has been fun as a child up to now. For something love, it has no reason. Don't need none to survive.
Oh no,
it's just a little flame in my heart.
You know it, girl.
Keeps me burning bright.
Yeah.
And I won't ever walk away. Just be brave and stay. Hold me till the end, yeah. And in your arms I'll rise up high. Don't walk away. Just be brave and stay. Hold me till the end, yeah. And in your arms I'll rise up high. Don't walk away.
Oh, well, there you go. You mean, imagine having to sing Kate Cebrano's song while Kate Cebrano looks at you and you look at her. I was fine, guys. Thank you guys for being a part of Emsolation this week. Remember to send in your questions for Coach Scotty at hello@mrussiano.com. And also, the Patreon is ready for your patronage. If you want to become a member of Emsolation, join the team, help me build this thing, you can go to patreon.com/Emsolation. Be in the community, be a member, get all the perks. I'm so grateful to all of you who are already patrons. And that's it. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will catch you guys again on Tuesday.